Imagine this situation. You live in London and you want to buy a house in San Francisco. The house costs $1.3 million. So what comes in first? Your payment or the handover of the keys? If you happen to pay first, you might fall into a scam. Maybe the house doesn't really exist, or it's not owned by the person that you contacted. Don't forget that you live a really long way away from there. You never met the person who's selling the house. And believe me, you're not the first person or the last who's going to lose money through an online scam like this. Ridiculous as it sounds, this is actually one of the most complicated problems that exists in economics. And that's trust. But I know what you're thinking. You clicked this video expecting something about blockchain, about cryptocurrencies, or maybe Bitcoin. What does all of this have to do with that? Well, I'll tell you. Nowadays, we've all heard of Bitcoin. I'm sure many of you know of some other cryptocurrencies as well, like Ethereum, Litecoin, or Ripple. If you've dug deeper into this matter, you might also have heard about another term, and that's blockchain. For many, this cryptocurrency world is the ultimate revolution that's going to end governments and banks. For others, it's just another financial bubble that will make it easier for criminals and terrorists to hide their money from the police. Unfortunately, the reality is way more boring than this.
Bitcoin exchange reaches deal with Barclays for UK transactions.
But hold on just a second. If you thought cryptocurrencies were just a strategy to avoid taxes, I've got some news for you.
The Swiss municipality of Chiasso is going to let residents pay their taxes in Bitcoin, its mayor has announced.
So, let's start from the beginning, shall we? Blockchain. Blockchain is a technology, just like virtual reality or peer-to-peer file sharing is a technology. As with every technology, you can use it for many different things. And one of them is cryptocurrencies, and one of these cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin. And as with many technologies, you can use it for many different things. One of them is cryptocurrencies, and one of those cryptocurrencies is Bitcoin. But it's not the only one. Many people think that these new coins will substitute legal money, that is, dollars, euros, or any other currency. But it doesn't have to be that way. In fact, cryptocurrencies can do many other things, and today we're going to have a look at some of them. But now the real question is, what is blockchain all about? What is it used for? And most importantly, why are banks starting to use it? Today we're going to answer all of these questions, but before we do, let's take a look back at the history.
What is blockchain used for?
Look, Bitcoin was born in 2009. Nonetheless, the technology that it's based on, the blockchain, was created all the way back in 1991. So let's see how it works without even mentioning the word Bitcoin. And why do we want to do this? Well, because it's important to understand that blockchain can be used for many other things. And since this is a complicated matter, I asked Fonseca, one of the hosts of the Spanish VisualPolitik channel, to show it to you by drawing, which is something he can do, and I certainly cannot. Alright, so let me take you back to the example of the house in San Francisco, the one that costs $1.3 million. In order to buy it, you have to sign a contract with the owner, but how do you know that he or she is going to meet that agreement? How do you know that the house exists if you've never seen it in reality? Usually we have a trusted third party like a notary verify it. This notary will verify the house exists and that you're talking to the real owner who's willing to hand over the keys when he gets the money. This is the way that any traditional contract works, and it has many problems. First, having many parties means that there's lots of waiting time and lots of fees. But there's an even worse problem here. If someone hacked the computer of one of those third parties, you could modify the terms of the contract. This means traditional contracts are not as safe as they seem. And this is where blockchain enters the picture. In this case, instead of using a traditional contract, we could use a so-called smart contract. This is a little bit of software that executes automatically when something happens. In this case, you could leave your $1.3 million in a special account so that at the moment when you open up a new door of your house, a sensor will notice your presence and boom, the smart contract will take your $1.3 million from that special account and send it to the seller. In case the key doesn't work because you've been tricked, then the contract would not execute. Alright, so all of this sounds pretty great, but who is going to validate any of this? Well, in this case, we don't actually need third parties or middlemen. There's no need for notaries whatsoever. In this case, we have a network. Propy is a company that offers real estate sales internationally through blockchain. Well, in this case, all the sellers and buyers inside of this platform would be nodes of the network. And so now you might be wondering, so I just want to address it really quickly. No company has paid us to do this video. We just used the example of this company so we can give a real-life example. It makes it more tangible and hopefully more enjoyable. So while the great innovation of blockchain is that its users will always have a copy of the contract, so all of them can be a point of verification, and in case one copy does not match the copy of another node, the system will consider this to be fraud. But not only that, this contract will always be stored in what we call a block. And this block, at the same time, will be stored in a chain of blocks. This is why we call the system blockchain. So if a hacker wants to modify our contract, he would have to get into all of the computers from the members of our blockchain all at the same time. As you can imagine, this is way harder than getting into one computer, no matter how secure that computer is. And now you might be wondering, so anytime I start using some blockchain service, will I have all the registers and transactions that have been done inside it? And the answer is, well, yeah. In fact, if you want to have a Bitcoin, you should download all of the blockchain, which is now over 160 gigabytes. And now I can hear many of you saying, well, come on, Simon, that's not true. I've got a Bitcoin wallet and I don't have to download 160 gigabytes of stuff. Well, actually, of course you do. In your case, dear viewer, what you have is actually a Litecoin. This means that another person downloaded those 160 gigabytes and now that person is letting you use Bitcoin through his or her server. This said, blockchain is starting to be used for all kinds of things. As you have already seen, some companies offer real estate deals with smart contracts, but there are many other applications. You can even have website hosting with blockchain, so many computers inside of a network would have the data. Other companies offer medical record storage, etc., etc. But okay, we've already told you what blockchain is all about. Now there is a second part, and that is, well, what do banks have to do with all of this? And that's something we're going to look at right now.
Survival of the fittest.
If there is one thing that generates all kinds of gossip, mixed signals, and conspiracy theories, it's cryptocurrencies. You just need to Google the name of any famous company followed by the word cryptocurrency, and you get some blog that claims that this firm wants to get its own crypto coin, or the opposite, or both things at the same time. This information noise is so pervasive that it is almost impossible to separate the wheat from the chaff. And this is also a heads up for you guys who might want to start investing in this industry. Watch out. I'm not telling you not to, but be careful because there is a lot of hype. And this is why, to do this video, we talked straight to these sources so that we could corroborate that this is true.
BBVA and Indra will make the world's first blockchain-based corporate loan.
In this case, Indra is a Spanish engineering company and BBVA is a large Spanish bank. The idea is pretty similar to what we said about the house in San Francisco. In this case, BBVA signs a contract with Indra and all the members inside of the blockchain will have a copy of the same. So what's the advantage of all this? Well, it would prevent internal corruption. Some people might want to exaggerate the cost of some building in order to get money into their pockets. But if they have a smart contract and everybody has a copy of this, then they can track every transaction. This means that both the company and the bank are protecting themselves from their own workers. But we aren't only talking about loans here. As we said before, blockchain can be used for many other things. And apparently Spanish banks, they want to pioneer this. Here's another example.
Santander to launch the first blockchain-based international money transfer service.
In this case, we are talking again about reducing verification times. You see, anytime you make an international money transfer, you have lots of intermediary banks. For instance, if you want to send $1,000 to a friend in Germany, somebody has to verify that you have $1,000 less and your friend has $1,000 more. Add to this the problems from the currency exchange, and you have lots of intermediaries that need to be in contact and verify every step of the process. Companies like Ripple use blockchain to do this in a matter of seconds, and this is why Santander will now start making international transfers from one day to the other.
In fact, both Santander and BBVA have been investing in cryptocurrency companies for years. The main European banks have all been part of blockchain platforms for years, from WeTrade to the Spanish Alastria. But how big a future do these projects have? We simply don't know. But clearly there's an interest from traditional banks to not miss out on these kinds of new technologies.
And now I know what you might be thinking. So far we've just talked about faster transactions and safer contracts. Nothing super exciting, right? So where is that revolution that some people are talking about? Well, believe me, there is certainly a potential revolution here. But we're going to talk about that in the coming weeks. In the meantime, don't forget to subscribe to VisualPolitik and click on the bell icon so you don't miss any of our posts. And now it's your turn. So far we talked about banks using blockchain technology. What about cryptocurrencies? Yeah, Barclays. Yes, indeed, Barclays is offering services in Bitcoin, but will they use it as a normal thing? Will we see all kinds of new services thanks to cryptocurrencies? Well, please leave your answer in the comments section below, and also don't forget to visit our friends at the Reconsider Media podcast. They provided the vocals in this episode that were not mine, and if you like this video, please do give us a thumbs up, and as always, I'll see you next time.
And if you want to learn more about politics and hear even more of my lovely voice, you can join us at Reconsider Media. We have a podcast at reconsidermedia.com/podcast. See you there.